Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, founder of a revolutionary medical sales training and mentorship program called the Medical Sales Career Builder, and I'm also host of the Medical Sales Podcast. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire world. It doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing and diagnostic lab, you name it, you will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 10% performer within your role, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. And remember, I am a medical sales expert sharing my own opinion about this amazing industry and how it can change your life. Take us back. Give us probably the craziest real life scenario you're part of. Be as descriptive as you can. Mm-hmm. What was going on? What happened? Give us the whole story.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my personal FBI story first, and then I'll give you a doctor's FBI story.
Let's do it.
So I was done with Purdue. It was probably 2 years later, and I get a call from this number that I randomly answered. It's like, hey, Jennifer, this is with the FBI. I need to meet with you. Would you like to come to my office, or would you like me to come to your home
This
today?
is a random call. This is like
random call. And I usually don't answer them, but I just did. And I go, I'm not stupid. I'm not telling you where I live.
Sure.
I guess I'll come to your office. And he goes, well, I know where you live. And I know that you just had lunch at Panera at XYZ address about 20 minutes ago. I know. And so what was really interesting, and so he's like, this is about Purdue Pharma. This is about, what you did at Purdue Pharma. This is regarding your tenure at Purdue Pharma. And so I knew at that point there was no escaping this. I knew. Sure. And so I called Purdue immediately, thinking that they would give me some sort of legal assistance. And basically there was like one old elderly lady answering the phone because like no one else really works there anymore. I mean, yes, they do still create products, but there's no sales force, there's no marketing, there's like, It's nothing. So then I'm lucky that my brother's an attorney, and I called him and he's like, this is big. So then the next day I get a summons for a grand jury testimony in Washington, D.C. at noon, about a month later. And so I'm like, this is not looking good for me. This is not looking good for me. And so my brother's like, listen, this FBI agent, he's going to act like he's your best friend. You can't let him in, like into your circle. He's like, he's going to say all the things. He already knows all the things. You can't let him get close to you. Just keep your guard up. Wow. And so I had a conversation with this agent over and over and over again. And I was like, I know what you want me to tell you. I know what you want me to say, but that was not my experience. It was right patient, right duration, titrate down. Right patient, right duration, titrate down. I know what you think you know and what you maybe knew before I started, but while I was there, right patient, right duration, titrate down.
Sure.
And sure enough, he's like trying to get it, like flirting with me, asking me to go for drinks, like just trying to like get into the circle.
He was flirting with you? Like, that's a tactic.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Wow. Or like, I'll stop by, I'll talk to your husband and you, or like he knew my girls. He knew everything. Okay. Yeah. And so it was like a month until we had to do this grand jury testimony. And I had to answer his calls, or at least I felt like I did. Right. And so we would go back and forth, and he couldn't have been more nice. And I want to help you. I want to protect you. I'm here. Okay. So then we walk into this room where there's like 3 lawyers, like deputy, I don't know, like big wigs and black suits. And I walk in with my brother, who's my attorney, who's just helping me out for free. Yeah. And I go over to this FBI agent who I feel like I know. I feel like he's a friend. Could not have been more frigid. Wouldn't even shake my hand. Just like stared straight. And I was like, oh, so that's how it is.
Wow.
And I had been warned. Okay. So then over the course of several days, they had data and voice texts. And so back in pharma, you leave success stories for your manager. They had success stories I had left from 2007 to 2010 on voicemail.
Wow.
I was doing my job. Okay. I was doing my job. And all I thought is like, I see what you see. Like, and you think I was doing my job, but I can see how now it's spun to where I'm a criminal. Like I can see how that happens.
Yeah.
So thankfully, they weren't in it to get me. They were trying to go after the people at a higher level. So I was just a pawn, in the whole thing. But I will say to this day, like on record, Purdue never told me to do anything unethical. This is on my hand to God. Like I was advocating for the patients, and I thought and still believe in most instances, given the information I have now or then, that I was doing the right thing. But of course, things evolve, things change. We learn things about medications like that no, don't do that anymore. So at the time. Okay, so and then I swore I would never be in pharma again. But to go back to one of my biggest doctors here in my geography, I was just sitting there one day, just waiting to chit chat with them. And here they come. They got the bulletproof vests on and they're all in black, and they just come in and take all the files.
Wow.
Take them out.
And patients are there. Everybody's there.
Yes. But then life goes on. Cindy, the receptionist, is like, oh, here they are again. Like, we're used to this. Okay. He keeps seeing patients the rest of the day. And so that was one of many times that I've seen that happen. Now, obviously, a lot of offices have electronic records now, but this was back in 2010. Some of them were still going over to Epic. But, and then life went on. And then what was very common, and I think a lot of pharma reps can relate to this, is lawyers in the office waiting for the doctor to, have a discussion, get a download on what happened with whatever patient. But that was very common also. So those are two different FBI situations that I experienced. But the one for me personally was so rattling. I'm like,
that's wild. That's wild. So, okay. So then let me ask you this, because I love your position on you were doing your job and you were never coached on being unethical. Do you feel that Purdue was more of the ignorant child that had something on their hands that lost control of it? Or do you feel more that Purdue was knowingly belligerent to what was going on with patients and just wanted to get what they wanted as far as their bottom line?
So I think if you had asked a rep that had been there 10 years before me, they would answer it differently. I feel like they learned their lesson. And I was brought in, again, to do what I believe to be ethical work. But then you find out that we have data that Q8 dosing is actually where OxyContin should have been dosed the whole time. And that wasn't ever released until after essentially the company closed. That made me second guess things. But I mean, you have to understand there was hundreds and hundreds of sales reps, and these are like moral, ethical people, and we would talk about in pharma, you guys know, the patient profile, the patient picture. I felt like I was the advocate for the pain management patient who needed medications, who didn't want to be addicted, because all doctors think about is like, oh, that one guy that's, he just kept asking for stuff and he was selling it and all this. They always think about that. But then I'm thinking about, again, the 35-year-old mom of 3 who has cervical cancer and just needs to manage her pain, So to answer your question fully, I think Purdue knew that they had done something wrong. I think they tried to course correct during the time I was there. And then I think it was too little too late.
Too little too late. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Have you seen the TV shows and the movies and whatnot?
All of them. It's a lot of it's accurate.
Which one? Okay, I have to ask this.
Okay, of course.
Which one's the most?
So Dope Sick, I think that's the girl in like Kentucky or Arkansas or something. And so there was a rep, and he was the rep in Arkansas for 20 years with Purdue. If I would never say his name, good friend, since passed away. But if I said his name, anyone would know who we're talking about. And I'm like, that was based on him. It had to be. He was the only rep in Kentucky for 20 years. I mean, but he was like an icon that we loved this guy. He was like, we loved this guy. So I have not a bad word to say about him, truly. Rest in peace. But I think a lot of it was accurate. But again, before the time that I was there, again, I think that was like the late 90s, early 2000s that things were really going nuts. But I've watched all of them. I'm like, accurate, heard about it, saw it, type thing. So
gotcha.
It's fun. Watch those, you guys. Pharma reps, you guys need to watch that stuff. You need to be armed with that information.
When did you know that this was over? I'm assuming that when the FBI, I guess, was finished with what you just described, you still weren't sure it was over. When did you know that, okay, this is done?
It was over.
I can officially put this behind me.
So I was on vacation with my family in Mexico. I got the call from my manager. You guys, this is what they did. They would have the managers call us, and the managers laid us off. They thought they still had a job. The next week, they all got hacked. So like, it was such a mind F, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I sat with my husband that day in Mexico, and I was like, my side gig at that time was going really, really well. The wine sales, this clean wine sales I was doing online. So at that time, I had essentially matched my pharma paycheck doing wine sales. But more is more. Come on, like more is more. But he's like, why don't you just not find another job? So I posted on Facebook that day, hey, you guys, I was just laid off. I'm shocked. I'm in Mexico. My family, anyone got anything for me? I had a job the next day. Guess what? In pain management again. So I was hired by people that I had worked with prior, no interview required. And thank you for giving me a job. You guys, that's the power of social media and LinkedIn. You guys get your social media and LinkedIn going. So I had a job the next day. So I came home from vacation with a job, but it just didn't feel right. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I want to take a risk. I feel like I really want to go in on this entrepreneurial venture and just see what happens. It was already matching my pharma salary. So I'm like, let's just see what happens. So I worked at that next company for a couple months, went to training, did all the things. It was a long-acting morphine product, which was like not that exciting, kind of dusty. And then after about 6 months, I left that company, and I wish I would never have accepted that job, because what it did was held me back from really exploring that entrepreneurial itch that I already had rolling. So I always say that put me 6 months back in my entrepreneurial journey. So you guys, like, listen to what listen to what's inside. And I have no regrets in life for the most part, but I regret taking that second job because I knew at that point I could bet on myself. And if I had a little bit more time, I could really blow this thing out of the water, which I ended up doing. It just took another 6 months. So I was busy working.
Sure. So the wine sales, you were doing that before you left the pharma world.
Just
Now,
evenings and weekends.
How did you even, see, one of the things I say, especially now, pharma is different than what it was in the early 2000s. And when people are like, I look at pharma, I look at med device, I look at medical supplies, I look at, healthcare software, I look at dentistry, which field should I be in? And we dig deep into what they want their lifestyle to look like. For those that really want to have a great career, be good at it, and still explore something else that's interesting to them, I always say, pharma's a place to consider, because if you can figure out your territory, be a rock star there, and be a true asset to the company, you have the freedom to do whatever it is you want to do with your time outside of work hours, and doesn't really compromise the other. So you kind of lived that. So when you were doing pharma, you saw this wine opportunity. Talk to us about how that even come into your radar. What made you actually pursue it? What's the story there?
A former manager in pharma at Purdue, who had become a good friend, is like, listen, I know we want to get out of this. This is our way out, And then she's like, it's an entrepreneurial venture. It's network marketing. And so I was like, you know what? What do I have to lose? I love wine. I live a very healthy lifestyle. It's clean crafted wine. You don't get a hangover, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'll do it. And so, Samuel, you and I know each other enough. I'm like, you don't have to ask anything. Neither do I. So I'm like, I was committed from day one, but I didn't think it was going to take off to the point of eventually having 4,000 consultants on my team. And it far surpassing my pharma salary 2 to 3 times. And it just eventually became something where the business runs itself. I mean, you work really, really hard. We always say, like, work a couple years, work a couple months, and then you can kind of coast in all of these kind of entrepreneurial stuff. So it started to run itself, but it was one of those things I would do tastings on the weekends. I would do it didn't conflict with my 9 to 5. Not at all did it.
Sure.
So I think that people should understand that you got to crush the 9 to 5. If you're not crushing the 9 to 5, you don't have anything to do with something outside of that. But a lot of people can do many things well. Okay. And this is something I said in my interview at my current company. because they had done all the research and they're like, you
They're
do
like,
this
"What's
and
this
this and
marketing
this and this. You got
going
10
on?"
things going on, girl. Like, how can we trust you?
Right.
And I was like, I commit to you that nothing else will be happening between, for my job and cardiology sales, we save lives. So it really is a 24-hour job, but at least I'll say traditional business hours. I would not do anything else, whether it's my coaching program or network marketing or anything. And you know what? Everyone was fine with it because you know what? Results speak for themselves. So I find it very hard to believe that any pharma manager or device manager or lab diagnostic manager would come down on anyone for having hobbies or baking cookies for profit outside of the 9 to 5 or teaching yoga on Saturday mornings if they were crushing their day job. The problem enters when you don't get it done 9 to 5.
Right.
What else are you doing with your time?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I want you guys to hear me on that. You have to be crushing the 9 to 5 before you take something else on. Don't spread yourself too thin. Okay. Like, very clear there.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know our programs cover the entire career of a medical sales professional. From getting into the medical sales industry, to training on how to be a top performer in the medical sales industry, to masterfully navigating your career to executive level leadership. These programs are personalized and customized for your specific career and background, and trained by over 50 experts, including surgeons. Our results speak for ourselves, and we're landing positions for our candidates in less than 120 days in top medical technology companies like Stryker, Medtronic, Merck, Abbott, you name it. Would you run an Ironman race without training and a strategy? You wouldn't. So why are you trying to do the same with a medical sales position? You need training, you need a strategy, and you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and let's get you into the position that you've always dreamed of. Preach. I love it. Okay, so you did the wine sales, it blew up, got a whole team, it's paying itself, and then you started your own coaching company. Talk to us about how that came to be. What inspired going that direction?
So there was an unmet need in network marketing for someone to just tell it like it is. You guys, I'm always voted the person to say what we're all thinking. I say what we're all thinking. So they don't teach you this in college. So if you want to really benefit from a tax perspective, you need multiple businesses, multiple LLCs. I have an S Corp, multiple LLCs. What does that give you? Tax leverage. Okay. So my 4 girls are on payroll. They work within my businesses. They get paid every single month. That lowers. So talk to your accountant, is what I'll say there. Talk to your accountant about the benefits of being an S Corp or an LLC. So I saw a need for an additional LLC in my life. I had an S Corp. I saw a need for people to have coaching, specifically pharmaceutical sales reps, on how to crush the day job, but really do something else on the side. And so I, along with a team that helped me out, developed a digital platform called Ignite and Launch, where pharma reps mostly would log in to learn about how to master skills in network marketing. Not so much like pharma 9 to 5 selling skills, but like how to do this, as a side gig.
If you're crushing it, how to do this thing on the side.
Yes. And if you're not crushing it, you're not going to crush this either. Guess what? So you've got to crush that before you crush this. Because again, out of respect for companies, these companies are paying you for your time. So
they're paying you very, very, very well.
So do good by them, do the right thing. Okay. And then with whatever else you have, you can do something else. So, and then that kind of took off. And again, it's another small business with tax benefits of being a small business. So yes, I did start my own coaching program specifically for that, which super transparently, I don't market anymore out of respect for my current company. But it runs itself. There's old funnels and you know how all this works. So there's funnels that feed people in. But when I was interviewing at my current role, I literally took out my phone and I showed the area director. He's like, tell me about this Ignite and Launch. And I walked him through the whole thing on my phone. And I was like, look, I do nothing. It's all automated. It's all videos. It's all already done. It's not going to affect my, 8 to 5, 7 to 7, whatever. And he's like, this is nice. So you guys, you never know if that side gig hobby actually helps get you in and propel you to the next phase of your career. Kind of fun.
Very cool. So that brings us full circle to what you just mentioned. you have this successful wine business. You have your own coaching company for the tax benefits you're able to get from it. What still brought you back to a medical device position?
A friend of mine from the wine business, because you guys, it's all who you know. And, my LinkedIn, I was pharma quitter, never going back to corporate, never doing that, never working for the man, never working for the woman, never working for anybody, never working for never working for someone again. And I was on a walk and it was a July afternoon. And a friend of mine actually was the same girl that brought me into the wine business, who was a manager at Purdue, again, all who you know, called me and said, "Hey, my friend has an opening at this leading cardiology company. She had someone really great. There's no one better than you. And would you be interested in talking with her?" I'm like, you know what? I was at a place in life where everything was automated. I had a lot of extra time, and a lot of times extra time is not a good thing if you're a high achiever. Like, because then you're like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? I got to start something else. And then you're just spreading yourself so thin. And I was like, yeah, I'll talk to her. And I talked to her, and a week later, what's done is done. And so it was really fun to step back into the corporate realm after dogging it publicly for 7 years on every platform that would listen to me, like literally dogging it.
Life just seems to always do us that way. Isn't it? It's fascinating.
But I was proud. I was like, you know what? We all evolve, and, nothing's changed from my lens. Other things have happened and are still happening. But now I'm a part of a company that saves lives every day. And the one thing I will say, Samuel, I have found to be a dramatic difference between pharma and device is 100% an entrepreneurial mindset. Not to say that pharma isn't, but in device, you eat what you kill. As an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. So I had 7 years of managing 4,000 people, teaching them how to get out of their comfort zone, to push the envelope, to rattle the cage. Nobody likes vanilla Vanessa. Like, we have to do something different. Status quo is boring. 7 years of that gave me every arrow in my quiver to then go into the device realm in a territory where the competition was just leeching, we were hemorrhaging business with the competition. They had told me that going into it. And so I was like, I like to rattle the cage. I like to be unconventional. I like to do weird things. And so suffice to say, I've been about a year and a couple months in. We got the competition out. We've got the business back. And it's been truly one of the most soul satisfying parts of my life. And it's not even from a financial perspective, because it wasn't about that. It was just about the next challenge. So I'd be curious what you feel, Samuel, from if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of people have to start in pharma, but we know that a lot of times device doesn't want to hire pharma reps.
Well, I'll speak to it all.
Yeah.
But, and you've listened to the podcast, so
I know.
When I say it this way, I really do believe it's very nuanced, and I believe there's different levels of it all. So, number one, when we talk medical sales, we're talking about it all, right? Medical device, pharma, medical supplies, medical diagnostics, medical software, and they all have their pros and their cons. And even within those different arenas, there's nuance, right? A pharma rep, a general pharma rep is not the same thing as a specialized pharma rep. That's not the same thing as an oncology pharma rep, right? A medical device in OBGYN is not a medical device in ENT, and is not a medical device in trauma, cardio, or even spine, right?
Trauma.
They all have their very, very nuanced spaces that look very, very different, even within their fields. But to marry some of the things you just mentioned, I actually believe that if you're going to be in medical sales, pharma included, you do need to have, you don't need to have anything, but it would benefit you greatly if you had an entrepreneurial spirit and you had an entrepreneurial approach, because you are going to be given a territory, no matter what, whether you're pharma or med device or any company, you're given a territory and you're responsible for that territory. Now, to your point, some spaces have more autonomy than others, right? Some spaces, like you said, you can just get creative, you can get crafty. There's not.
Or you can work in a pod with 4 other people in pharma, and you're on.
And some spaces you got to work in a pod, and some spaces have a lot of regulation. It just depends. But at the end of the day, you have an entrepreneur spirit and you treating your territory like an actual business that you're the CEO of is going to serve you greatly, because if you can figure that out, you can put it on autopilot, you can go find new business, you can do all these things that are just going to help the company. So that's how I see the entire medical sales world.
I love it. And again, having been on both sides of it, pharma and device, which there is a great divide, I think you would agree. It's different strokes for different folks. But I also think with device, at least from my perspective, like there is no parachute. Like no one's coming to save you. You're either doing it or you're not. With pharma, you have formulary. You might have someone who comes in, on a more clinical side. But in device, I've listened to so many of your podcasts, and it's so true. Like what you do, it's up to you. You lose those trays that's not. So for me, where I'm at and this leading cardiology company, I don't have to be in cases, which is what I want. I don't have the stress of, packing the bag or waiting.
Right.
The case has to wait 6 hours or a doctor's yelling at me. I don't have anything like that. Right. So from my perspective, I'm in the best place because I have the autonomy of being a device rep without the stress of.
Yeah, you just identified it. I mean, just think about it. What you just said, right? You have medical device spine reps. You have medical device, the space you're in. Both medical device, but completely different worlds.
Completely different. Completely different.
From the day-to-day to the individual nuance to how often you work outside of work hours. But what I will say is the same thing exists in pharma, in medical supplies, in dental. It's a range in almost every type of medical sales there is. And I think a lot of people, what I love about these discussions is we get to talk about the insights into these specific fields, and people listening that want to get into medical device or want to get into pharma or want to get into medical sales in general. They're like, I want to be here. I want to be there. And they just don't know what they don't know. And they don't understand how vast it really is. And they don't understand the best thing you can do is understand who you are and what you naturally work best in. And then literally go find the field that matches that. And it does exist. I'm the one that's like, it doesn't have to look like you have to be waking up at 3 a.m. It doesn't have to look like you have to be waiting in doctor's offices all day. There's another field out there that can be much more aligned to what you actually want to do, but people need to take the time to find it.
And what they need to do is listen to every single one of your 250 podcasts. And I'm not kidding. So Samuel, when I stepped back into this corporate role with med device, I was like, I'm a little dusty. I got to get back in. It's been 7 years. And I literally binged. So you guys, when you're driving in your car, you can listen to music. You can listen to the news. Listen to podcasts. Listen to Samuel's podcast. And then what I would do in addition is listen to cardiology podcasts, because I didn't know what I didn't know about cardiology. You guys, every moment when you're out on a walk, when you're rucking, when you're on the elliptical, whatever you're doing, if you're not interacting with another human being, be listening to podcasts, making yourself better 24/7. I learned so much from yours, Samuel. No kidding, which is why I was so excited to be on here. But to go back to your other point about there is a space for you, I think you guys need to ask in the interview, like, again, am I autonomous or am I working as part of a team, a pod, whatever? Because again, there was a point in Burma, I had 6 counterparts and we walked in the office and someone else is there and she's there and she was there yesterday. What I love about what I do now is it's me and me and me. The glory is on me. Right. Or if I'm not doing a good job, then all the stress and the angst is on me. And that's where I thrive. I like the dopamine hits. And I also like, you kind of go into the rut. Yeah. Now, I have always worked with amazing associates that I help hire and manage. But at the end of the day, it's me. So decide, do I want to work as part of a team, as part of a pod, as part of a group? Or do I want all the glory or, the opposite of that? So I'm kind of greedy. And I want all the glory for me, and I want everyone to know that I did this. But you guys be thinking about that when you're deciding what company to align with or who to work with. Those are important things.
I love it. Look at you. Now we're gonna bring this to a close, but I do have one question, and it's about wine, and I'm just curious. Yeah. So to do what you do in the wine world, do you have to be a wine connoisseur, or could you even be a non-drinker and do it?
Yes. So we have people that either don't drink or have stopped drinking for whatever good reason, because we also offer coffee. But here's the thing, just because you go to a party and doesn't drink doesn't mean other people don't want to drink, or you're socializing and you're not drinking. Or I just did a 5-week detox and I was at all these work meetings and everyone's drinking and I'm not drinking, but they still want to know about the wine, So no, it's kind of a turnkey thing. Everything is done for you. It's if you're into health, wellness, but still understand that people, most Americans do enjoy alcohol regardless. It's just a better for you option. And we can teach you about all those things. And you don't have to be a big consumer. Trust me, like I don't even drink that much. I'm a high functioning mom of 4. I'm up in the morning. I got a really intense job, but I do enjoy winding down with wine occasionally. So there is a spot for that. So if anyone's interested in that, for sure, let me know. But I think the key takeaway here more than anything is don't let any manager, any company, any corporation put you in a box and tell you can't do other things because. Okay. So then you show them I can do a lot of things. I can do a lot of things well. And one is not going to sacrifice the other, but you have to prove yourself. Okay. You can't be, 50% of goal. You need to crush that goal, 130% or more to goal, and then take autonomy and time to do other things. But first things first, the company that's paying you, you do them right. Okay. So anyone can sell the wine with me as long as you're crushing your day job. And I'm going to ask you.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So on that note, how can people find you, Jennifer?
Yeah. So find me on LinkedIn at Jennifer Schultz Jones. And that's basically where I like to hang out, interact. You guys are going to laugh. I was removed from LinkedIn for like 9 months because I was also, Samuel, I was a LinkedIn coach for a little while, a couple of years, and I would coach people on LinkedIn. So I was, unbeknownst to me, I can't use LinkedIn to capitalize and make money. I can't capitalize on their LinkedIn. So if only I had reframed it
because you advertise yourself as a LinkedIn coach on LinkedIn, they banned you for 9 months.
For 9 months. And so it's one of those, this is a side note, but like it's all bots. There's no humans, right? And so once I got to an actual human and explained what was going on, they're like, oh yeah, we'll let you back on. But now my views are terrible. I used to get like 52,000 views or something, and now I get like 500. So I'm building it back up. But the whole point is, guys, find me on LinkedIn, Jennifer Schultz Jones, DM me. Happy to help with anything med device or pharma. I like to bat, questions back and forth about this company, that company. But more than anything, sign up for Samuel's program. I have looked at it. It is truly remarkable, because a couple years ago, I thought about doing the same thing as you, Samuel. And I was like, I can't touch this guy. Like what he's got, like it would take me years to build that kind of credibility and get so get his program too. And if you can't afford it, I don't know what it costs. Listen to all of his podcasts. That's what you need to do.
You're too sweet, Jennifer. You're too sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Jennifer, it was truly a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for all the knowledge you dropped with us today. And we look forward to seeing what you're going to do out there in the medical sales world, and maybe have you again.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a customized and personalized program that gets you into the medical technology industry as a sales professional, or any type of role for that matter. Become a top performer in your position and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolvesuccess.com by visiting our site, filling out an application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and allowing us to get you where you need to be. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews on the Medical Sales Podcast.